Nashville fans, get an education, you jabronis.
All right, we do have a massive, I would say probably the biggest episode coming up for number 90.
Both completely false.
Yeah, both.
Like genuinely both completely false. You just didn't see the game.
GP the Golden Boy, who he was invisible for the entire game.
Overreaction.
Yeah.
I kind of touched on this a little bit pre-recording. Justin Haak's ceiling is higher than James Hans.
Oh, they're gonna kill you in the Twitter streets for that.
I'm telling you.
I was gonna say, if they put us in charge of building the stadium,
the show would crumble.
It
It would fall apart.
Yeah. All right, man. Episode 89. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. Obviously, the start of a new regular season. I think we've been looking forward to this forever, as has the rest of the fans. Obviously, 2-0 is probably not the way we wanted to go coming out of this Nashville game, but I feel like somewhat to be expected. I don't think they lost a game at home last year, so we knew it was going to be tough. Cushing said it was going to be tough, but all in all, I'm happy we're back on the field.
Yeah, no, I'm happy we're back on the field. Happy to see, the performance that we did see. Yeah, I mean, it felt like Christmas. It felt like Christmas Eve heading up to this. So I think that's, I'm going to credit a lot of people's disappointment to that.
Mm-hmm.
That it felt like Christmas and it felt like a letdown. If you're being honest with yourself, did you really expect, not us to lose, but did you expect us to win, really? With everything that happened, I think in a fairy tale, yeah. In reality, NYCFC, even with better rosters, doesn't really win season openers.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
And before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we don't usually do the whole self-promo thing, but we do have a massive, I would say probably the biggest episode coming up for number 90. Probably a few days after you guys hear this.
Right.
Number 90 is obviously a big number for us with being post 90. So how much do we want to say about it?
We've got a champion coming on.
A champion coming on, an NYCFC alum. I think that's about the extent of what we're gonna say. It should be a very fun conversation, and somebody that we've talked a lot in the past about wanting to speak to. So it should be fun. But like you said, yeah, I think it's a thing of expectations, and not to set too many big expectations about our episode 90. But it was big expectations coming into this game, and like you said, when you build this date up on a pedestal like us, we've been counting down since the season ended in 2022.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that we've all wanted, and to see the score at the end of the game, to see some of the chances that we had get wasted. Those are really, really disappointing things. I'm looking at some highlights like Justin Haak having probably the game of his life as an NYCFC player.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely an amazing game from him. A couple misplaced passes. I think he finished with 90% passing. He missed either 4 or 5 passes. He was one of the players that, outside of the substitutes that played, less than half the game, lost the ball the least.
Yep.
In a team where people had as much as 25 lost possessions.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna ask you where you wanted to go with it, and I think I probably already knew the answer to the question with our conversation before we actually turned the mics on and started recording. A lot of passion, I think, from us in the Justin Haak camp, especially throughout the game. I mean, I saw a few people tweeting that he was playing really well. We were obviously one of those guys, but then at the same time, I think there's also a very strong fan base of NYCFC that is pretty harsh on Justin Haak. Obviously don't like him, but I think you're right. I think we saw one of the best games out of him that we've seen possibly ever when it comes to being in a blue jersey. And I think in both cases we went back and we did a review of some of the game footage, but people were kind of blaming both of the goals on him. One for a misplaced pass when Haney ran up the whole field and assisted Scheffelberg, whatever, mullet guy. And then on the first goal that Walker put in, they were saying he drew the set piece that Nashville got, so ultimately it's his fault.
Both completely false.
Yeah, both.
Like genuinely both completely false. You just didn't see the game.
Yeah, and I mean
you didn't see it correctly.
There's
it was a Tayvon Gray foul.
Yeah.
That led to the set piece that led to the goal. And it was Mukhtar poking the ball away, and then a Nashville player passing it back to Mukhtar.
Yeah.
So Justin Haak actually had nothing to do with either of those.
I was gonna say with the regular season starting, we're back on our game with editing and all that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be tossing up the footage kind of alongside as we're talking. But like you said, I think on that second Mukhtar goal, Thiago was playing a ball to Haak, but I think Mukhtar poked it, or if he didn't poke it,
he just nicked it a little bit.
And if he didn't, it was just very poorly placed by Thiago.
Right.
And the Nashville player was able to get his body in front of Haak, and then Haney goes on and does what Haney does.
Right.
And then like you said with the other one, it was ultimately Tayvon that drew the foul on the set piece for the first goal.
Right.
There's
which you can't even if it was Justin Haak that drew the foul, it was Tayvon Gray. You're not blaming Tayvon for that goal. There's still 10 people, 11 people defending that goal at the set piece at the end of the day.
I was going to say a lot of other things go wrong from the point of the foul that draws the set piece. I think one person that could potentially be called out if we are looking to name names on goals was Chanot's header to clear that. It was horrible. It obviously fell to the Nashville guy. And then Barraza, I think he's getting it a little bit tough on Twitter too.
He had a great game.
Obviously the early on one-on-one save was huge, especially to set the tempo. And then he blocked the deflection as well. And then on that one, I mean, he did virtually everything that he possibly could as a goalie to keep that ball out. You would like him to maybe catch it there. You would like him to parry it into a less dangerous position. But at the same time, I mean, he's like in like survival mode. Getting that ball anywhere from going in the back of the net and putting himself in front of it is what he did. And unfortunately, it falls to a player. You also hope maybe there would be a defender there to clean that up on behalf of him.
And not only that, but he's maybe an inch away from making an insane double save.
Yeah.
Obviously you don't want to live in what ifs. It's a terrible place to be.
Yep.
But in general, I don't think that you can point out a single player on the field and say they are the reason we did not win or stay competitive in this game.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say maybe not. Nobody is the single reason. Not only that we didn't win, but I don't think anybody is the single reason that we lost either.
Right.
Because it goes both ways. I think, I would say maybe there's some players that have more responsibility than others. I think for us, GP, who is meant to be obviously the golden boy this season, and hey, it's game one, but it's overreaction Monday.
Overreaction Monday, yeah. I mean, this is gonna happen. Right?
But we have GP, the golden boy, who he was invisible for the entire game. Tales, sort of the same story, except he was extremely visible, but every time he touched the ball,
it went to somebody else.
Yeah, it was a turnover or something had gone wrong. And I don't know if it was a knock or what it was. He obviously was wincing after taking both shots, and I don't know if that was like, oh man, I just made a bad play, so let me.
Yeah, if that's his bid for the number 9 role, I think it's not going to go well for him.
Mm-hmm.
Thiago looked a lot better, a lot more comfortable in that role. He looked better in hold-up play. He looked better, in those transitions and everything like that. And I even told you, Thiago learned agility. Like he just all of a sudden he can move well. And so if that's the type of player he's going to be for the rest of the season, then he has to be the number 9.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And Thiago and Tales is going to have to work off that left. But yeah, I mean, Tales, you can't blame him for the game, but at the end of the day, you can't lose the ball 25 times. You're putting the team in a very, very rough spot when you go and lose the ball 25 times. I would have liked to see, his shots be a little bit more on target, obviously. But overall, I think he had the game that he was rated for. He had like a 5.5 rating for the game.
Yeah.
It just, our highest rated players were the lowest rated players for Nashville. That was the story of the game.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said too, talking a little bit about Thiago in the 9, because we definitely had never talked about that being a potential consideration. We definitely saw him as only vying for a winger role. Obviously,
I think credit to Coach Stowe. I think Coach Stowe was the one that called that out and wanted that specifically.
And I think on top of that, credit to Cushing, who I think, say what you will about him. It's week 1, but one thing that was obviously everybody's biggest gripe when it came to Ronnie was no changes. He would not make changes. Like if he went out there and he had prepared something all week, and it was failing, well, that's too bad because we're stuck on what we prepared for this week.
Right.
Cushing, I personally loved to see at halftime, which is something we would never see with Ronnie, him to make such a big change of switching somebody like Thiago into the 9 and being like, hey, every time Tales got out wide, he looked better. The commentary was talking. He looked better when he got out wide. And he was like, let's make that change then and see what happens. And right out the gate, we see Cufré play a great ball to Thiago. I would have liked Thiago to take a shot there. I feel like we see him do that all the time.
Yeah.
He's kind of too fast for his own good.
Not only that, but I think his confidence lacks in those moments.
He runs himself out of positions.
Exactly. And you'd like to see him put a shot on target, but at the same time, like the commentary said, put it on a play for Pellegrini. He just didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
It's tough though when you have he literally got murdered by 3 guys immediately after. So
well, I was gonna say too, like I'm obviously a fan of sweating it out. If I'm playing FIFA, I'm making like 47 passes inside the box before I shoot. Sometimes to my own dismay, sometimes to others. But if he's playing it to a guy who has a 100% chance to make it, as opposed to him in the 70, hey, that's smart ball. I'm not going to be mad at him for it.
Yeah.
But I think another guy to talk about is Cufre. To me,
I mean, Overreaction Monday. That's the most talented left back we've had in an NYCFC shirt.
Potentially.
Period.
I mean, I think he's up there for this game to be the most impactful player that was on the field, and to do that in your debut, brand new to the team. I think Cushing said in the last presser, the preseason last week, was he had been here for 4 days of training.
Right.
So to come in in MLS Week 1 as a loanee and do that, I mean, it seems like we got a winner in that pick.
Yeah.
We're overreacting, but it is Week 1 and he looks good. And then I think O'Toole comes in
and looks like he's genuinely challenging for that spot too.
Yeah.
That makes me have some faith in the games that we will have to play 5 at the back because we're gonna have Cufre and we're gonna have O'Toole at the same time.
Yeah. I get worried because if O'Toole's gonna look good every time he plays, and I don't know if the Cufre sub was simply based on the fact.
I think it was the yellow.
Yeah, the yellow, and then I think fitness too, right? It's Week 1.
Yeah.
This guy's been with us for 4 training sessions.
Yep.
So I get worried when he does get to 90-minute fit. He's obviously one of the players that is not going to be coming off the field, at least from what we've seen from him now. And you would hate to have somebody like O'Toole, if he is playing like he did today consistently, to not have a spot in the field. So I wonder if Cushing may look to find another role for O'Toole wherever that may be. I don't know, if potentially like left wing he could talk. NYCFC source tweeted at us after that rocket of a shot he took, because I did not know that Kevin O'Toole had it like that, and I guess O'Toole played striker in college.
That's what I'm saying. We drafted him as a forward. That's why I think he's going to be that Tony Roach type player where he can kind of just fill roles, fill holes. But I could see, honestly, I see a world where Pellegrini, obviously it's one game, overreaction Monday. Pellegrini didn't really nail down his spot.
I agree. Yeah.
Like if you had to redraw the team tomorrow, Pellegrini's spot is a question mark. I could honestly see the team looking very, very good with O'Toole at left wing and Tales in the middle with Thiago at 9.
Yeah. Or even, I know Keaton called out in previous press conferences that the 10 was not something that he typically does or that he feels he's the best at, and that Cushing wasn't necessarily looking for him to fill that role. But I don't hate it if we don't have – if Matty is going to play like he did in this game every game, and, coming from the biggest Matty supporter, it's not going to be something that's going to work out. And I think Keaton, even towards the end of the game, our second half was way better than our first half, but Keaton got into some dangerous positions and was playing some dangerous balls. He, on that one play, I'm trying to remember it like complete in its completeness, but he was, I think he played a ball to somebody and then they played it back to him and it was like just out of reach of him, but that was 100% going to end in a goal.
Yeah.
With Keaton kind of coming into the box, hitting the tiki-taka and then scoring himself. So I think if it comes to it, we have him as an option at the 10, and we should look to see if that's something that he can do.
Yeah, definitely. I just think if you're taking the exact lineup and the exact same tactics into next week, and you have to change a few things, like you have to change Pellegrini, I just think that O'Toole out wide with Talas at the number 10 and Thiago at 9 would be genuinely dangerous.
Yeah.
For 45, 50, 60 minutes, I think that's super, super dangerous. But we may even find ourselves in a position where, we try to play without a 10, and you kind of have Keaton somewhat playing that role where he's getting forward.
Yeah.
And we're playing Justin Haak and we're playing Alfredo together. With 3 midfielders in the middle,
5 in the back.
That could work too.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
we're just trying to play on the counter.
Yeah, and I think for those of us that are super down after this first game, not necessarily going the way we wanted to, I think next week can function as like a get right game.
Yeah,
it's Chicago Fire. I believe in both of our predictions.
I had Houston, but
you had Houston, but they were bottom.
But they were bottom anyway.
Yeah, and then so you had Houston wooden spoon. I had Chicago wooden spoon. I feel like that could serve. I know it's still away, and I know it's still the MLS. It'll probably be pretty terrible weather over there, but that could function as a get right game. I mean, it's Chicago.
But we'll see how they are tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll see. What they really have to offer, but
and I think it's worth mentioning we're recording like right after.
This is direct.
Game just ended.
Yeah, I think Chicago might have just kicked off 11 minutes ago. So
yeah, so
they could be up 7 goals right now. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean they did just sign Kai Kamara.
I'm just
tough at 38 years old.
With that form, with the game that we just watched, I know that a lot of people are going to view that negatively.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue, let the emotions wind down, have a glass of wine, watch the game again, from the point of view that you're just watching a team. How are they running? How are they performing together? We lost the ball far too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people would argue that our midfield was the weakest watching it. Statistically, they were the best.
Yeah.
They held the ball the best. They won their tackles. They didn't have fouls against them.
Mm-hmm.
What more can you ask?
Yeah, and I feel like I have some thoughts on Nashville too.
They were great.
Now that they're in the Eastern Conference, I kept thinking this throughout the game because for a number of reasons. There's like a few of these teams in the league that we have where when we play them, it always has to be like a dogfight, and like I feel genuine like hatred towards them. Like for people that have assumed that role already, right? It's like the Phillies, the Revs. I still kind of feel that off some of the playoff and other large games that we've played that against them. And then obviously the Red Bulls. Orlando, not so much lately, but we've had it in the past. Toronto, not so much lately, but we had it in the past. But now with Nashville coming into the East,
idiots.
Yeah, I mean,
their fans are done. Like
Chanot was getting the Tayvon treatment from when we traveled away to watch Charlotte last season. And like Tayvon got fouled by a Charlotte player, and then because of that, because he was the victim of a foul, he got booed every single time he touched the ball, and that was coming coming through loud and clear on the broadcast today with Chanot. Same thing. He gets fouled by a Nashville player. He's obviously the issue, I guess, in that scenario somehow. So he gets booed every time he touches the ball. And I can see Nashville, now that they're in the East and they're a good team, developing into one of those teams that we have issues with over the next couple years.
If we play them away again, I would love to go just to chirp at the fans.
Yeah.
Because they genuinely, like, and I don't mean this in a messed up way, but they're genuinely not intelligent people. And, Nashville, if any of your fans find this podcast, you guys are not smart. Like, genuinely, you're not. I don't know what glasses you watch this game with. Justin Haak won the ball and destroyed your player. Simple as. You called the ref terrible for that. Justin Haak had a world-class tackle on your player, and he pretended to be hurt. It is what it is. Chanot got hit in the face, where if he gets hit in the wrong way, he's going to be blind for the rest of his life.
Yep.
So, yeah, he was a little concerned when he got hit.
But yeah, booing Chanot when he was down on the ground.
That made me so angry.
Yeah, that was
and then that's what started the booing. After.
Yeah, because he got hurt.
It's like, because he got hit in the face where if he gets hit just the right way, he will not have an eye for the rest of his life.
No more vision.
So, yeah, let's boo that. But then your player pretends to dislocate his shoulder, gets a stretcher out, and wastes 15 minutes doing that.
Yeah.
Let's get real.
Those are all the moments that brew the hatred, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just...
and like, your team played well, and despite playing well, the fans were just stupid.
I mean, and they have a few of the guys, like, when we think of, like, a Philly, right, we hate like Gazdag or their center back that when we played them in the Eastern Conference Finals and we beat them in 2021. He had the Drake haircut. You know, they have like these token guys, and then that you don't like, and then on Nashville, like that Scheffelberg, the guy with the mullet. I don't know. Every time he was on the screen, but I just couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand him, and then of course he has to go and get the goal, just to spite me probably.
Well, they've got in Zimmerman too. We don't like Zimmerman here in this camp.
I know.
And he gets credited for the goal. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but he gets credited for the goal. You know, I had some choice words for him and his, you know, the structural integrity of his leg after he was singing into the corner flag. I don't know. That just kind of seemed like a weird thing to do when you're like a C-list center back, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the MLS, he's all right, but it's those things that help kind of brew.
I don't like Nashville.
Brew the rivalry, yeah.
And they're fans, dude. You guys need to get like some type of training or glasses, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys need. You need help. Your team played well, and congrats for that, but man, you guys see the game wrong.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Eastern Conference plays out with them being added to it, because they're obviously, you know,
I think they're going to win. I think they're going to.
That was your prediction, right?
Yeah, they're going to end as first place in the East. I think they're going to be a great team. I think everyone knew that going into this game. I think that's why, you know, when we see some of the negative responses, we're kind of like, you know, we saw this coming a little bit.
That's what I was going to say. Was it? You know, when they are a good team, it makes it tougher too. Especially like we're gonna most likely see them in the playoffs, probably for the next couple of years. If we continue to be good and they continue to be good, this is gonna brew something. You know,
they really remind me like this is the same feeling I had when we used to play Atlanta when they were good. It feels like that team that just has those pieces that you know things just happen in their favor.
And Mukhtar is like. You think of him like the
Martinez.
Yeah, a Martinez or a Almiron when they had both of them. It's like literally as soon as he came on the field, I was like, I feel like I'm hearing the Undertaker bells right now. Like,
yeah, he's coming to take whatever hope we had left of that game.
And within 5 minutes,
disappeared. Yeah,
obviously.
But yeah, man. I mean, I don't want to harp too much on the negative.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, being more level-headed. Keeping in mind that it's week 1, I think for the first 20 minutes, us and Nashville both looked completely lost out there. Like, oh my God, I can't believe we're playing soccer again right now. Especially with the crowd, everything going on, the whole moment of it. First game on Apple TV, all that stuff adding up. I think everybody looked lost out there. I think there's going to be a ton of growing pains with Cushing now fully implementing kind of the ideas he has, fitting like an Ilenič in, fitting in a Cufré. And then starting players that have never started before for us or for any professional team. There's going to be a lot of growing pains, but I still feel good about our chance. I still feel 4th place. Maybe if I had to overreact, I'd drop it to like a 5th. But I don't think we're finishing below 5th.
Yeah.
I know that Nashville will be above us.
Overreaction.
Yeah.
I kind of touched on this a little bit pre-recording. Justin Haak's ceiling is higher than James Sands.
Oh, they're going to kill you in the Twitter streets for that.
I'm telling you, Justin Haak's ceiling is higher than James Sands.
Oh, they're going to hate you.
He is a better athlete. He scans the field better, in my opinion, than James Sands did. And he has the ability to play more roles in the midfield than James Sands. And I personally feel that Justin Haak is going to grow into a player that he may be with NYCFC his entire career, but he will have accomplished more than James Sands.
Yeah.
If both keep continuing the way that they have.
And man, it would be interesting if James Sands ends up back on the team, because we know Cushing loves Haak.
It's possible.
Cushing absolutely loves Haak.
I don't think that James Sands comes back and plays in the midfield. James Sands, if he does come back, is a center back.
Yeah, I think if Haak continues to play the way that he did today, I'm not sure if Alfredo is healthy, if Haak is healthy, and if Sands has not played football at that point for the better part of 6 months, at least sporadically as a sub for the Rangers. Yeah, I'm not sure how he finds a spot at center back or kind of at that 6 role. And I think Alfredo is another one who randomly, I think Cushing said he picked up a knock or something. But that was a shocking omission for me. And it sucks to see because I think we're obviously very big supporters of Alfredo. I think he would probably be one of my favorites on the team.
Easily.
Alongside a Matty. So keeping him healthy, I think keeping Chanel healthy, the 2 old guys on the team, is something that we have to do by any means. So I don't mind Cushing being conservative. First game of the season, we've got 33 more weeks of soccer.
Right.
I don't mind kind of keeping him out.
Yeah. Any other overreaction you got?
No, I mean, I feel like that's it. I feel like
Tayvon looked
we touched
faster.
on everything I thought. Yeah.
Tayvon looked good, faster.
It could have been more aerodynamic with the hair all shaved off, which was maybe the biggest
shocking.
shocker of
yeah,
the day.
Because we were looking and we're like, we couldn't. Honestly, I just thought that he had braids tied really, really tight, and I was like, looking, I'm like, no, he's got waves.
I was gonna say that 1080p Apple TV quality very quickly.
This is the first time we're not on streams, ladies and gentlemen. Announcement: we have gone legal.
Not on.
But Tayvon had a great game. I think Ilenič is gonna give him a run for his money though. From those minutes that we saw from him, Tayvon, you got a battle ahead of you.
Yeah, sure.
Luckily, he's got the defensive role, so he's gonna get the benefit of the doubt where if you're going into the 60th minute and you were thinking of bringing out Ilenič, you're going to look at Tayvon's defensive ability and probably keep him on.
Yeah, I was going to say if Cushing the whole time knew that Ilenič he had plans to bring Ilenič on, I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't brought on sooner.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I don't think Tayvon looked terrible, but if you're letting a Scheffelberg give you issues for the entire game, I think Cushing would be more apt to make a sub. So I did think Ilenič would come on sooner. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a ton of him. I think he came on for, 7 minutes of stoppage. He came on somewhere in the mid-80s.
He looked good, though.
Yeah, he looked solid. I feel like he, obviously, in 10 minutes, how much time are you really going to show something? But I'm excited to see more out of him. I'll die on the 3 in the back, make Tayvon a center back by any means possible, and give Ilenič to go. I think we're 1 for 2 at the moment on signings that we made, between Cufre and Ilenič, and we haven't seen enough from Ilenič to know if we've gone 2 for 2. So, I mean, there's things to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm not the guy that just watched that game and is thinking anything but positive. I think everyone showed flashes of what they could be, and that's really all that we can ask for in a first game. Let them settle together, let them get their chemistry, and look, if you've heard anything that we've said today on this episode and you feel some type of way, feel free to add us on Twitter at Post90 Podcast,
Instagram at Post90 Pod.
We're there. We're here for the conversation.
TikTok.
And
YouTube.
Look, if you would like to hear the stats, you like to see the stats. Justin Haak had an incredible game.
Yeah.
And he deserves to get his flowers for it.
Yeah.
Any type of hate, you're just forcing it, and it's a little weird.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think I'll say, typically, if you're new to the show, I think probably a ton of people potentially found us in this little off-season run of guests that we've done. I'm happy to be back, just the 2 of us. That's kind of like our bread and butter and what we've kind of always done in the past. But usually we try to keep it pretty short, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. Obviously a little excited today. Yeah,
and honestly, we could still go.
Yeah,
if this wasn't cutting off and it was a live stream, we'd go for hours.
Well, yeah, and we like to give you guys other time to kind of listen to the other NYCFC podcasts. Obviously, great historic ones out there like Blue Balls and Blue City Radio and stuff, and those guys' opinions are always great to listen to. Some of our favorites. So we like to condense it, keep it short, give you something easy to listen to in your commute. And all that. So that's what you can kind of expect to hear from us if you're new. Like we said, massive, maybe the biggest episode that we've ever done, coming out in the midweek. It should be, if you're listening to this on Monday, you'll probably hear that episode on Thursday, and it won't have most likely any conversation about the Chicago game. It'll be more so just conversation about the guests and everything. So appreciate.
You just said it's a guest.
Yeah, I mean, well, we said there's going to be a champion in the house.
I mean, we're champions.
You're not wrong.
So,
And you know what? Anybody that listens, anybody
This
that
far?
I was gonna say, anybody that listened this far, you deserve that extra nugget. So it will be a guest. It will be a champion. We said earlier, obviously an NYCFC alum. So looking forward to kind of
Cult favorite.
yeah, looking forward to don't want to give away too much here. Looking
Yep.
forward to obviously sharing the mic with them, and kind of I think in a way celebrating us too. I know it's not 100, but for us 90 obviously is
Yeah.
special, being the name of the podcast.
Yeah, it's a special episode. This is us growing and you
We
know,
will get to 100. So we're gonna get to 1,000.
We're gonna get to 100. This is the show evolving into you know, something that we've dreamed about for a long time.
Mhm.
But beyond that episode, just expect us to continue going harder and harder. It's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get tough out there.
Yeah, I mean this season feels like the season of vibes for the pod. I feel like finally after 3 seasons we've kind of really gotten a foothold on being able to handle just the conversations and stuff. It takes time, and now we want to up the game.
We're taking this thing to new heights.
New heights, yeah.
To new heights.
Yeah.
And beyond. This thing expect a lot of work.
Yeah, and I'll say new studio to come. For those that you listen, you obviously remember the past studio. Trying to do it bigger and better than that. Can't give a date.
Thunderdome inbound.
can't give a date on
Can't
when.
give a date, yeah, because we got to Bob the Builder it.
Yeah.
But
And
you know.
potentially look out for some kind of series with us potentially putting together the stadium, like building it. Like we have literally.
we're physically building the stadium.
Yeah, I was gonna say like physically
The
Bob
studio.
the Builder, men with hammers and nails, like
Yeah.
actually doing something. So maybe some kind of like no narration, not creative, but what was the word? Cinematic type thing of us putting the stadium. You know, a little ASMR or something. Who knows? Studio, not stadium.
We are not building. We have no hand in the stadium
if
at all.
they
Do
put
not
us-
comment. Do not talk to us about how it needs to be built quicker.
I was gonna say if they put us in charge of building the stadium,
Oh,
like,
the show crumble. It would
Yeah,
fall apart.
and I don't know what that says about the future studios.
Who knows?
You know, structural capability, but
Yeah.
that'll be something to find out later in the season. So we appreciate you guys for listening.
Yeah, if
like-
you made it this far, yell at us on Twitter, Post90Pod. Listen to us anywhere that you can get a podcast.
Yep.
We'll be there, and you can count on that.
Yeah, like you said, at Post90Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube has @s now.
We're gonna see what Apple TV allows us to do this season with YouTube and the shorts and with TikTok and everything.
Oh yeah,
but we're
copyright.
gonna
and
be
stuff.
pushing the boundaries. We're gonna be growing a lot.
Yeah,
Expect that.
and then Apple Pods. I think probably the top audio platform for us. Spotify, anywhere that you can listen to a pod, we're on there. And then YouTube. If you're one of our YouTube guys, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Noties. We appreciate you guys for sticking around and look forward to talking to everybody on Twitter and everywhere else.
Yep. And Nashville fans, get an education, you jabronis.
All right, peace.
That's the clip.
Yeah, stupid.